Okay. Today we'll check the switch node. Switch node is under utilities. Here, switch. We can add this here. And switches does exactly what its name says. It switches between two two values. Here they are like told as false and true, but this means if you are checked or unchecked. So like if I just like put it here, and now it is like the unchecked version, which means false. And then the geometry that we have, input geometry, comes here and goes here. If I click it, then it disappears because there is nothing on the input of the true, which gives out, but when if something comes in the check version. So, and to get it a better understanding, we can use two different primitives, like one cylinder and one cube. Yeah, and I will cut this node part, and I will put one cube in one place to false. Just like for a second, forget this false and true words, and think about them. Checked, true is unchecked, and false is unchecked. Yeah. If I uncheck false, then the cube appears, and if I check true, the cylinder appears. So in this case, I can switch between these, and I can manipulate this also by another value. So you would remember that we were using the compare node. This was also here in math. Compare here, and we were comparing two numbers according to this, and if A is greater than B, then it gives a result. So we can connect this, and as long as A is greater than B, then the true, so the cylinder comes. A is greater than B, so it clicks, makes a true. So you see, if I hover it, true, and if it goes to below 0, then it becomes false, false, and it goes to it then this node gives the false output, which means the cube. So very basic. And how can I use practically this? I can say can use the just as we used before. Can use the scene time and use the frame value. If the frame value is greater than 0, which is almost the case, always the case, then it gives here the true output, and then here the true will be checked, and cylinder comes here out. Yeah. Therefore, like I will just like put because every frame is greater than 0. I will put it here 50, and I will play, and then it goes until 50, and then it becomes a cylinder. Yeah. I think until here is clear. Or do you have any questions until here? Okay. So then let's have some other use cases, because this is the basic use case for the geometry, but we have also some other things. So let's try to make a little bit different version of it. Let's take a cube, and let's take again the switch node, but this time we will maybe use the position of it. So like we will read the geometry position, And let's split this position to x, y, and z values, and we can use the what shall we use the let's take a float between this, and again like a compare node here, not compare, and if the x value if this sorry, so if the x value is greater than, let's say, 10, then this causes the switch. So, and at the moment we have like because we have to use it as it is not displayed, and if we go the switch, then does something, and if it's below the 10, then it does something else. It is another number. First, like this could be very basically transform node again, and if this output comes, we can put combine, translate, and let's do it in the z direction. Does it y represent position attribute? Okay. Let's take the position of the cube itself. Input constant. I want the object self, so let's pull it here. It's the best way. I want the location of the object, and if I move the object and its x position is greater than 10, then the switch will be triggered to the true, else it will stay in the false. And in the false version, let's put it like 3, and if in the negative version, in the true version, it is like -3. So if I move it, then if it goes over 10, then it goes to -3 because it gets true, and else it stays here. So this I can use also with the static numbers, but I can also use it with just like as before, by manipulating the let's say we have a third axis, which is the y axis, or like let's keep by the z axis, okay, and I will do again a transformation, this is sinus transformation input. Let's take the input scene time again. I will combine the same node setting with the math nodes, with multiply. Sorry, we start with radians to use the frame here, radians, then multiply it to get frequency, then multiply it by sinus or cosinus. We can use the same. And now we have also like a amplitude, and in this case I will just like make a little bit more space. In this case we can have maybe two different amplitudes. Let's say one is 0.5 and the other one is like, let's really use 3 or 5 even to see the difference. And I will connect amplitude 5 to one node, one part, and the other one to here. So, and as long as it stays below then it gives the result false, and I will get the false, which is like 5. So it will go back and forth between 5, plus 5 and minus 5. Let's make the frequency a little bit higher. So like goes plus 5 and minus 5. And if I will take the cube a little bit here, and then it will go just like between minus and plus here this value. So like put it here to see it better. It goes back and forth here. Okay. So this is like the other part, and of course, like I can use also the same frame. Let's use also the same radiance rate, or even this one, to move the tube also in the same time in the x direction. That we let's move it here, and it happens everything by itself alone. So it comes here, goes down, goes back, goes down, and nothing happens because we use the original position. I think we will use the relative. Okay. So I think we even don't need to use this one. We can just directly take the value which we put here, which is this multiply value, which is like our x value. We can use just directly this instead of like taking this part. So then it comes here, goes down, and then it switches to the smaller one. You see, so it's like until here it makes like a bigger move, and as soon as it switches to the other one, then it starts to make the smaller movement. So because this value is here greater than 10, 13, and if I go here, this value is less than 10, and this is like also at the same time equal to x. So I couldn't get here the object info because the object info is like this object info. The position nodes, I think in this case position nodes should work actually, but it didn't get the probably the position of each vertex. If I put it here, no, it doesn't happen anything. It's just like stays here. It just fails because like here is the red one. So no, let's keep it here, and the same value decides both the x value, x position, and also decides what happens with the switch. So this is like how to use switch also in timeline. Another thing is like another very very nice like use case is that you can use as I just like did before. You can use the switch as an option to manipulate objects from outside. So in this case, I will connect it to group inputs. We had this before, you remember. And so like here, this switch I have here, and I can also animate this function. So here you can manipulate it from here. It's similar to this, but you can do other stuff. What you can do is also you just like don't make it anything dependent on the frame, but let's make another copy of this, and I will use the switch. I will just like delete everything, and I will use the switch directly from the outside of the cube. So this one will continue because like we don't have this. You don't use the switch with the numbers. Make it a little bit a bit also more here to see not to the other one. So okay. So and I can animate this one. Yeah. Oh. So here animate switch, and here like maybe put the switch here, and I animate it again with the I keyframe. So like here we go, and then it switches and it goes. It does this. So this is basically how to use also the switch function to manipulate the animations from outside.